My life purpose. Like most people, you have likely pondered Druidism and its relationship to your spiritual life. All of us need to recognize that Druidism is not a religion per se. It is a way of life that can help enlighten our lives in many ways. But to explore those ways of spiritual growth with Druidism, we must first learn about the essential nature of this unique animal. Once you understand this, you will begin to explore some of the beautiful advantages of Druidism. First, you need to understand the concept of animal spirit. This is the part of us that is very powerful and can affect our lives in many ways. This power is not something that can be seen or tasted, but must be felt within. Just as we experience happiness and sadness, as well as other emotions, other animals experience joy and pain. This is why animals can offer us many paths through our lives. A dog can help us understand our own emotions. A cat can help us learn to share. Even smaller animals, such as bears, can be of assistance in our spiritual growth. Each experience with an animal can teach us something new about our relationships with God, as well as with ourselves and others. Next, we need to recognize that Druidism is not a religion in the usual sense of the word. While religion usually involves membership in a group, Druidism does not. We can quickly venture into the wilderness, commune with animals, and practice our spiritual traditions without joining a formal group. The animal is always available. That is one of the primary reasons why this form of spiritual growth is so popular. And finally, Druidism is a natural extension of human spirituality. Many spiritual traditions have their roots in nature. When we are deeply connected to the earth, it becomes easy to form a profound connection to the world around us. The very act of being spiritual and stepping away from the material world for a moment of spiritual growth can often inspire revolutionary changes in our lives and the world around us. What does this mean for Druidism? All aspects of the Druid craft are deeply connected to the study and use of the natural world. It is not uncommon for a Druid to become deeply involved in wildlife life. Whether it is helping to preserve the forests and wildlife of their local area, or going on a long journey deep into the backcountry to study the local plants and fauna, a Druid will never see their life as anything but spiritual. However, this doesn't mean that a Druid cannot have a good experience outside of the Druid's work. The animal world is a beautiful part of life that can bring about a remarkable transformation in those who embrace its mysteries. A skilled animal shaman can help a person realize their spiritual potential. Those who practice shamanism may not always have an animal person to turn to for help. However, the simple act of knowing a few things about the natural world and its creatures can help anyone with an interest in spirituality to find new and exciting ways to experience life on a spiritual level. There are many aspects of Druidism that I very much enjoy. This philosophy of life holds for most of us. The transition from an animal to a spiritual being can be a beautiful and even a fearful experience. No matter what path a person takes to become a Druid, the transformation will always be spiritual. By Richard Wycliffe.
My Druid spirituality. My Druid spirituality emerged a couple of years ago when I was seeking a new way to enhance my health and well-being. Having suffered from fibromyalgia for the last several years and experiencing chronic fatigue and allergies, my energy levels were deficient, and I was running around like a headless chicken with my intestines hanging out. Not surprisingly, I was skeptical of any spiritual path, much less Druidism, but it was in an online article about mushrooms that I stumbled upon an interesting article about Druids. At the time, I didn't know what to make of it and hadn't considered Druidism a religion at all, but it's an essential aspect of the natural world. Druids are very spiritual people, which is one of the things that leads me to think about them as natural pantheons, even though their spirituality may stem from a very different place than my own. Some others might think that Druids are just nuts. And truth be told, there are some awful apples out there who have taken the Druidic path as a religion and turned out to be nothing more than mindless, soulless killing machines who exist only to kill and cause misery. So the question remains, what about Druidism? The spiritual nature of the Druid is rooted in many aspects of nature. Many natural elements provide a foundation for Druid spirituality, including energy, spirit, and life. Together, these elements enable an individual to become deeply drawn to the Druidic path and to experience life itself through their spiritual insight. So why do we go on a spiritual journey? The Druid does not understand the reason behind his birth. He follows his spirit and intuition wherever they lead him. This leads to a journey through nature, where one explores the wilderness and gains a sense of the surroundings. Initially, the Druid may encounter things that interest him and spark spiritual growth. As he continues his exploration, he will find himself delving deeper into the heart of the things around him, until eventually, he begins to awaken a part of himself that seeks wisdom and understanding of the world. This awakening leads to a vision of the world made by men upon the earth and all of nature. Through this vision, the Druid has a chance to turn his back on the forces that would use him and try to make him part of the machine he has created. Instead, he tries to understand the nature of the other creatures and plants that are necessary to his life, and he helps them with their problems rather than using his powers to cause more problems. Nature has bestowed many gifts upon the Druid. One of these gifts comes in the form of the animal they become, which allows them to transcend into the spirit realm. Druids can transform into many different animals, including deer, cats, bears, hogs, and ravens. Some Druids can change into fish or even change into trees. When they change into animals, they can see the world from an animalistic perspective, viewing it as they would from the highest vantage point. Spirituality is essential to Druids because the natural world is full of beauty and wonder. They can sense the things that are not ordinarily seen by people's eyes, and they can hear the things that we can't. Through this connection to nature, the Druid can gain insight into the history and psychology behind the scientific facts of life. The Druid embodies the ancient Druids, who believed in a pantheon of spirits, each with its own sphere of influence and power within the world. While most Druids follow the path of least resistance, some choose to make their lives more spiritual in purpose. Some seek to use their powers for good, while others strive to enhance people's lives and protect the vulnerable. There is a significant difference between the two types of Druids, but both share a love of the natural and a longing for a peaceful existence. I wish you well on your spiritual path. By Mia Chapman.
Focus on the positive. There are certain qualities that a person who considers themselves a Druid should have about themselves and Druidism. If you want to be part of the Earth forces and have the temperament to use it to its fullest, you will undoubtedly be drawn to the Earth's natural impulses. In my article, I will show you the other characteristics that you will find with a greater understanding of Druidism. A being of elemental nature, Druids, has strong feelings of loyalty towards the character. This is of good quality, as the energies of our Earth depend on the health of our environment, and we are directly affected by the weather. This can bring us great rewards, such as giving us the strength to overcome specific challenges. However, these feelings can also drain us of our powers, as they can cause us to lose sight of what's essential. To maintain harmony between ourselves and nature, we must learn to balance our feelings. Our feelings are deeply intertwined with the Earth and life in general. If you have strong feelings towards nature, then you will be attracted to Druidism. For instance, if you feel anger when you see creatures in pain, you would be drawn to the bear form. Conversely, you would also be repelled by the dark records if you felt sympathy for them. As with everything else in life, feeling good consistently has both positive and negative effects. The more positive feelings you experience, the more likely you are to use your abilities to their fullest. On the other hand, negative feelings can prevent you from using your abilities to the best of your ability. So you see, it's not the feeling that counts, but rather the knowledge of what is right. If you feel strongly about helping others and the environment, you will be doing the right things. So it's not so much the attitude that matters, but rather the knowledge of what is right. One of the most common positive uses of the Druid is in relation to the animal world. In some groups, you may hear the Druid mention animals such as cats, dogs, and owls. These are all positive images to have around, as these creatures can provide numerous benefits to people. Some people regard animal rights as a bit extreme, but for those who respect these values, it is always helpful to have such things around. Other positive aspects of Druidism and its uses relate to plants and herbs. If you listen closely to Druid spellcasters, you will often hear references to nature and the elements. A good example is briar rose, which has healing properties. It is often used to protect individuals and to promote harmony in a household. Another example is jade, which often helps heal wounds and reduce pain. Finally, another popular herb is stinging nettles, which promotes healing to the entire body. The Druid is also considered a practitioner of the arts. Many people who follow Druidism and herbalists often use spells and divination techniques to enhance their daily lives. While animals are often used for these purposes, they are not the only things these people consider positive. Overall, Druidic magic can be used for both positive and negative purposes. However, the key to understanding Druidic usages is to look beyond the "what's in it for me" perspective. A fundamental understanding comes from seeing the bigger picture, that the Druid is trying to help the whole world, and that everyone benefits when positive magic is used. Thank you for taking the time to listen to and watch my video. By the Charles Olcombe.